Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. If you want to become mentally strong, you've got to understand that this journey is not about being tough on the outside. It's not about flexing muscles or walking around like you're bulletproof. Mental strength comes from struggle, from heartbreak, from disappointment, and from learning how to stand tall again when life knocks you down. Mental strength is built through adversity, not comfort. Most people think that strength is something you either have or don't, like a talent you're born with. But the truth is, mental strength is something that's shaped, carved, and forged by life, especially in the moments when things don't go your way. When life is comfortable, predictable, and easy, there's not much pressure to grow. Comfort doesn't demand discipline. It doesn't require patience, sacrifice, or resilience. It's adversity that does that. It's the storms, the setbacks, and the moments where everything feels like it's falling apart. That's where true strength is born. Think about it. A person who has never struggled, who's never been told no, who's never had to start over, won't have the same depth of endurance as someone who's had to climb out of rock bottom. Adversity teaches you lessons no textbook ever could. It doesn't ask you politely. It forces you to confront yourself, to face your flaws, to dig deep when you have nothing left. Every time life knocks you down and you choose to stand back up, you're building mental strength. You're proving to yourself that you can survive pain, that you can adapt, that you can grow in the dark. Adversity shows you what you're really made of. When people go through tough times, they often think they're being punished, but in many cases, they're being prepared. The struggle refines you. It tests your beliefs, your determination, your patience, and your confidence. When everything is going wrong, it forces you to figure out what you really want, what you really value, and who you really are. You can't hide in adversity. You're either going to step up or fold. And the more times you step up, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, the stronger your mental muscles get. That strength doesn't come all at once. It's like going to the gym. You don't build a six-pack in a day. It's the consistency of showing up, especially when it's the last thing you want to do. That's where growth happens. People often confuse mental strength with pretending to be okay all the time. That's not strength, that's denial. Real strength is feeling everything but choosing to keep moving forward. It's crying in the dark and still showing up in the morning. It's being scared, uncertain, maybe even hopeless, but walking anyway. And the more you experience those moments, the more you realize they don't break you. They shape you. You become mentally strong, not because you avoided the hard times, but because you lived through them and came out wiser, tougher, more grounded. One of the biggest myths is that adversity is the enemy. In truth, adversity is the greatest teacher. It teaches you to be resourceful when you have no options. It teaches you to be grateful when things improve. It teaches you how to endure pain, how to process disappointment, and how to focus on what truly matters. When you face hardship and still hold on to your integrity, your values, your dreams, that's real strength. It's easy to believe in yourself when things are going well. It's when the storm hits that your beliefs get tested. That's when your mindset gets stretched. That's when you grow. Every setback is an opportunity to build endurance. Every delay is a test of your patience. Every failure is a lesson in humility. These things don't come from a life of comfort. They come from living from losing, from learning how to survive and thrive in the face of it all. That's why the most mentally strong people you'll ever meet are the ones who've suffered, been broken, been counted out, and still stood back up with purpose in their hearts and fire in their eyes. Mastering your thoughts is the foundation of resilience. Everything you do, everything you feel, and everything you become starts in your mind. It's the command center of your life. If your thoughts are weak, negative, or chaotic, your decisions will reflect that, and your actions will lead you down a path that doesn't serve your growth. Mental strength begins with what you allow to live in your head. Thoughts have power. They can build or destroy, encourage or discourage, move you forward or hold you back. The people who learn how to control and filter their thoughts are the ones who can navigate through pain, pressure, and uncertainty without falling apart. It's not that they don't feel fear or doubt. They do. But they've trained themselves to think above the fear, to speak truth over lies, and to challenge every thought that tries to sabotage their growth. That training isn't automatic. It takes awareness. It takes discipline. It takes catching those thoughts before they take root and replacing them with something stronger. Most people don't even realize how many negative thoughts they carry around every single day. Thoughts like, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, what if I fail? Those thoughts become beliefs, and those beliefs shape behavior. When you tell yourself the same thing over and over, your brain starts to believe it, and your body starts to act on it. So if your mind is filled with fear, comparison, doubt, and judgment, you will feel paralyzed when it's time to take action. But when you start mastering your thoughts, you take control back. You start choosing what you focus on. You learn to separate facts from fear, emotion from truth. You begin to rewire your mindset for growth instead of defeat. Resilience is not just the ability to bounce back. It's the ability to think clearly when everything around you is uncertain. It's being able to talk yourself through the storm, to motivate yourself when no one else is around, to silence the noise in your mind and tune into what matters. That kind of inner dialogue doesn't happen by accident. It's built by repetition. It's built by challenging your inner critic, by catching yourself in the act of negativity and switching the script. Instead of saying, I can't handle this, you say, I've handled worse. Instead of, well, what if I fail? You say, what if this works? Those simple shifts in thought are what shape resilient people. It's not that their lives are easier. It's that they refuse to let their thoughts sabotage their power. The strongest people you know have been through hard things, but they didn't let their thoughts sink them. They faced the fear in their minds and stood tall anyway. They trained themselves to focus on the possibilities, not the problems. And that's what makes all the difference. Your thoughts shape your emotions shape your actions, and your actions shape your outcomes. When you master the first part, the thoughts, you set yourself up for strength in every other area. It doesn't mean you'll never struggle. It means you'll know how to lead yourself through the struggle. You'll have the mental clarity to see past the moment. You'll have the self-talk to remind yourself of who you are and what you're capable of. You'll build a kind of resilience that doesn't come from pretending to be okay, but from knowing how to coach yourself through the chaos. That's what mental strength really is. It starts with mastering your thoughts, because if you win in your mind, you can win anywhere else in life. Emotional discipline allows you to respond, not react. In life, emotions are inevitable. You're going to feel anger, sadness, frustration, fear, anxiety, and disappointment. That's part of being human. But what separates those who are mentally strong from those who break easily is how they handle those emotions. Emotional discipline doesn't mean suppressing what you feel or pretending you're okay when you're not. It means having the strength to feel deeply and still choose your actions wisely. It means not letting temporary emotions create permanent damage. Too many people lose control because they allow their feelings to drive their decisions in the heat of the moment. They say things they don't mean, make choices they regret, or walk away from things that matter just because it got hard for a minute. But when you have emotional discipline, you learn how to pause, process, and then act. You understand that the first emotion that shows up doesn't have to be the one you obey. You take a step back, breathe, and ask yourself what the best response is. Not the easiest or most emotionally satisfying in a moment, but the one aligned with your values and long-term goals. Learning emotional discipline is like building a muscle. At first, you might find yourself snapping back, lashing out, or shutting down. But over time, as you become more aware of your triggers and more intentional about your choices, you start gaining control. You recognize the early signs of emotional overload and you know how to manage them. Maybe it means walking away to cool down, writing out your thoughts before you speak, or learning how to reframe a situation so you don't take it so personally. Discipline doesn't mean you don't feel the urge to react. It means you choose a higher response even when it's hard. And that's where true power lies, because anyone can react. Reaction is impulsive. It's automatic. It's easy. But responding requires maturity. It requires patience, self-awareness, and wisdom. And those qualities don't just make you stronger, they make you unshakable. One of the biggest dangers of emotional reactions is how much they can cost you. A single moment of rage can destroy a relationship. One careless outburst can damage your reputation. An emotional decision made out of fear can derail your progress. People who are mentally strong know that the cost of impulsive emotional behavior is too high. So they learn to protect their peace, to regulate their responses, and to make decisions from a place of clarity instead of chaos. That doesn't mean they're cold or detached. It means they're wise enough to know that emotions are information, not commands. You can feel something and not act on it. You can be angry and still speak with respect. You can be scared and still move forward with courage. Emotional discipline gives you that power. Another important part of emotional discipline is knowing what to do with pain. Everyone carries some kind of hurt, whether it's from their past, their relationships, or their failures. But not everyone knows how to process that pain in a healthy way. Some people bury it and let it fester, others project it onto everyone around them. But when you're emotionally disciplined, you learn how to feel the pain, name it, sit with it, and work through it without letting it define you. You don't ignore what you feel. You just don't let it lead your life. That kind of strength is rare, but it's what allows people to grow through what they go through. Emotional discipline is also about timing. Sometimes the best response is silence. Sometimes it's waiting a few hours before replying to that message. Sometimes it's knowing that walking away doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. When you're emotionally disciplined, you start making choices that serve your future, not just your feelings in the moment. You start building a life based on intention rather than reaction. And the more you practice that discipline, the more power you gain over yourself and your circumstance. Your circle impacts your strength. Choose wisely. The people you surround yourself with influence your mindset, your energy, your habits, and ultimately your future. You can be driven, focused, and full of ambition, but if the people around you constantly feed negativity, distraction, or doubt into your life, it slowly begins to wear on your mental strength. Every conversation, every shared belief, every subtle influence becomes a part of the environment that either pushes you forward or holds you back. Mental toughness isn't only about what you do alone, it's also about what you allow around you. When you're constantly in the presence of people who complain, who gossip, who discourage your growth, or who don't believe in pushing beyond limits, you begin to absorb those same mental patterns without even realizing it. The mindset of your circle becomes the atmosphere you breathe. If you're serious about becoming mentally strong, you have to audit your circle as seriously as you audit your goals. People often think loyalty means staying close to those you grew up with or those who've always been there. But loyalty to your future is more important than loyalty to your past. That doesn't mean you turn your back on people without reason. It means you recognize when someone is no longer aligned with the direction you're headed. You're not judging people for where they are. You're simply making a decision about where you want to be. Growth sometimes requires separation. Not because you think you're better than anyone, but because your peace, focus, and strength matter too much to be compromised by constant negativity, drama, or small-minded thinking. Strong people understand that not everyone can go with them to the next level. It doesn't make them heartless. It makes them disciplined. The right circle does more than support you. They sharpen you. They challenge you to think higher, live deeper, and stay accountable. They celebrate your wins, but also correct you when you're off track. They remind you of your worth when you forget, and they push you when you start to get comfortable. A strong circle sees your potential and speaks to it, not your limitations. You don't need people who only agree with you. You need people who are honest enough to check your blind spots and wise enough to lift you when you fall. That kind of support system doesn't happen by accident. You have to be intentional about who you give access to your life. Energy is contagious. If you're surrounded by people who wake up complaining, who never take responsibility, who quit at the first sign of pressure, you're going to start lowering your standards just to fit in. But when you're around people who talk about goals, ideas, discipline, self-improvement, and legacy, it inspires you to stay sharp. It fuels your mental strength because you're constantly reminded of what's possible. You start thinking bigger, acting bolder, and holding yourself to high expectations. Your circle becomes your mirror. It reflects your standards, your habits, and your potential. If you want to build mental strength, you have to be mindful of the mirrors you're looking into every day. Even in moments when you feel mentally strong, the wrong environment can slowly chip away at that foundation. Doubt from others can become your own inner doubt. Disrespect from others can influence the way you value yourself. And constant negativity can drain even the strongest spirit. But when you place yourself in the company of those who value growth, who protect peace, who work on their minds the way others work on their bodies, your strength becomes reinforced. You feel empowered, not drained. You feel focused, not distracted. You feel challenged, not coddled. And that's what makes the difference in how far you go. Mental strength is a choice, but it's also a reflection of what and who you allow to stay close. Faith and vision can carry you when nothing else can. There will be moments in life when logic doesn't help, when plans fall apart, when everything you thought you could depend on disappears. In those moments, your strength won't come from your experience, your resources, or even your knowledge. It will come from your faith, your belief in something greater than your circumstances, and your vision, your ability to see beyond what is in front of you. Faith isn't just about religion. It's about holding on to an inner certainty that your pain has a purpose, your struggle has meaning, and your future still holds promise even when the present feels like a mess. Vision isn't just about goals. It's about believing in a version of your life that you haven't seen yet and being willing to work for it, fight for it, and trust the process even when the outcome isn't clear. These two forces together create a kind of strength that nothing external can give you and nothing in the world can take away. There are times when life will strip everything else away: support, money, status, stability. And in those times, it's only your inner world that holds you together. That's where faith steps in. Faith says, keep going when everyone else says, give up. Faith whispers, you're not finished yet, even when you feel broken. And vision shows you what's possible. It gives you a direction to aim for, a reason to push through. People who are mentally strong have learned to live in alignment with something higher than their feelings and circumstances. They don't let their situation determine their spirit. They lead with belief, not just with strategy. And even when the strategy fails, the belief keeps them moving. Faith and vision protect your mind when reality tries to break it. When the odds are stacked against you, when the setbacks keep coming, when you're tired, drained, and doubting yourself. You need more than just motivation. Motivation fades, emotions shift, but faith and vision are steady. They become your compass. They remind you that just because today is hard doesn't mean tomorrow won't be better. They give you the patience to endure and the strength to start again when everything falls apart. It's easy to be strong when things are going your way, but true mental strength shows up when you have to keep pushing without results, when you have to believe without evidence, and when you have to act without applause. There will be people who don't understand your vision, who doubt your path, who laugh at your faith. That's okay. They don't need to see it. It wasn't given to them. It was given to you. You weren't designed to convince everyone. You were designed to carry what you believe in until it becomes real. That's how legacies are built, not by people who had all the answers, but by people who refuse to quit. Faith isn't blind optimism. It's a decision to keep walking when your sight is limited. Vision isn't fantasy. It's the ability to hold a picture in your heart that keeps you aligned with your purpose even when the world pulls you in every direction. When fear shows up, and it will, your vision reminds you of why you started. When discouragement creeps in, your faith reminds you of who's walking with you. When doubt becomes loud, you silence it with action that reflects your belief. That's how mentally strong people operate. They don't just wait for perfect moments or guarantee results. They walk with confidence, built on something deeper than the moment. They believe in the seed before it becomes the tree. They trust the process before they see the proof. And in doing so, they create the kind of unshakable strength that can weather any storm. Strength is silent. It's what you do when no one's watching. Real mental strength isn't about loud declarations or public displays of confidence. It's built in quiet decisions, in lonely moments, in the routines and disciplines that no one ever sees. It's how you carry yourself in private, how you handle your thoughts, how you rise from failure when no one is clapping for you. In a world obsessed with appearances, with showing success, with proving your worth through likes and recognition, true strength remains grounded in what's done when the spotlight is off. The mentally strong aren't focused on impressing others. They're committed to becoming better, whether anyone sees it or not. They get up early, even when they don't feel like it. They keep promises to themselves even when no one else would know if they broke them. They do the hard things consistently because they understand that strength is a habit, not a moment. When people think of strength, they often picture boldness, volume, and dominance. But some of the strongest individuals are the quietest ones in the room. They don't need to talk about what they're going to do because they're already doing it. They don't announce their goals. They work in silence until those goals are a reality.